Hi there, this is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer. In this video, I just want to show you some of the treasures that I have on my bookshelves. They're treasures to me. Some people may think they're not, but they're books I've picked up over the years that I think are either very special or they're just versions of those books that I think are very special. Let's have a look at some of the things that I think are treasures from my bookshelves. The first thing I want to share with you is The Green Mile by Stephen King. Where I live, when this book first came out, it was released in small books. There were 6 small books, and there was one book each month. And you had to pay, I think it was $2 at the time when you bought a newspaper. And then you got a copy of the book for the month, of that small section in the book. And I can't remember, I got a feeling that Stephen King was writing this story as he went along, as the months went along. So you weren't sure, even Stephen King wasn't sure how the story was going to end. I think that's what the whole concept was. But there were 6 small books in total, and they made up the whole Green Mile story. And I think later on then they released Green Mile as one book. But I've got all the 6 small books, and I still have them, and I think they're at least 20 years old. More than that, I'd say. But here they are, the 6 books. So we have book 1, it's called The 2 Dead Girls. Then book 2 is called The Mouse on the Mile. Book 3 is Coffee's Hands. Book 4 is The Bad Death of Edward Delacroix. Book 5 is Night Journey. And book 6 is Coffee on the Mile. And when these were coming out, I loved it. I got the first one, read it straight away, and then I had to wait a month for the second one. And then each month I had to wait to get each one. I thought it was just a great way to have a book released, and it just kept me hungry for each one. I just remember wanting each one then and there. I had to get it straight away, and I had to devour it then on the day. And then waiting a whole month for the next section, it was just almost too much sometimes. But I just love the fact that I've still got these books, and it just feels like you were one of the first people to experience the story when it was released. The second thing I think is a bit of a treasure is a hardcover version of Dreamcatcher by Stephen King, and I think it's a first edition. I picked this up at a book sale, and I'm pretty amazed that I was able to get this one at a book sale, being a first edition and a hardcover, because there are a lot of people out there who collect Stephen King hardcovers. So I had this paperback for a long time, and it was only on a book sale that I got the hardcover. But it has been a treasure on my bookshelves ever since. The next one is Mr. Murder by Dean Koontz. It's a hardcover and a first edition, and I picked this up at a book sale as well. I'm surprised that I got this at a book sale, so I'm sure there are people out there who collect Dean Koontz hardcovers. I don't collect hardcovers per se, but I love the fact that I get this for, I think it was $1 at the time. So I'm amazed that somebody was, giving this away to sell at a charity book sale. The next book is a version of Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. Now it's an ex-library book, but I love this because I just love the cover. The cover seems so intricate and so special, and I haven't seen another Anne Rice novel that has the same cover. So I just love the cover art on this. I don't know if it's a first edition or if it's, an edition that's sought after or a special edition. I'm not really sure, but I just love the cover of it, and I've kept this on my shelf ever since. The next is a book called Memoirs of a Mother-in-Law, written by George R. Sims. Here's the cover. Now, the reason I think this is special is it's a book that was first published in 1892. This version was published in 2014, I think, and I think I found this at like a pop-up bookstore somewhere, and I just had to buy it. I think I bought it for maybe $2, but it's one of the best books I've ever read, I think, for different reasons. So it feels very quaint, but it's very comical, and I really enjoyed this story a lot, and I've lent this out to quite a few people to read, and they all enjoy it. I just love the humour behind it, and it's a book that I'm going to read again, and it's a book I think I'll keep on my shelves for quite some time. But just the fact that it was written in 1892, I don't know how many other printings of this book there have been. I don't know if there's been a printing of this book since 2014, but the story that I think is a treasure, because I don't think many people may know about this story, about this book, but it is something I think people should give a go and read, because it's a very special book in my opinion. I've mentioned before that I enjoy going to secondhand bookstores, and there's one secondhand bookstore that's nearby that I love going to. I don't go there as much as I'd like, but sometimes when you go there, you find books that are out of print. And on one occasion, I was able to find 2 fantasy series that are both out of print, and they had the whole series there, both of them. The first is the Dungeon series, and I found this a really enjoyable read, for most of the books anyway. Here are all 6 books in the series, and all are out of print, and that's why I think they're quite a treasure, and why they're still on my bookshelves. The first is called The Black Tower. Book 2 is called The Dark Abyss. Book 3 is called The Valley of Thunder. Book 4 is called The Lake of Fire. Book 5 is called The Hidden City. And Book 6 is called The Final Battle. It's a very unique series in my opinion, and I don't know how popular this series has been, but I do think it is out of print. But if you do manage to find copies of this series, give it a go, because I think it's worth a read. The last thing that I want to share with you is another series. Well, it's 2 series really. It's a trilogy and then a series of 4 books, but they're in the same world by the same author, and the author's name is Mike Jeffries, and all these books are out of print. I think they are anyway. I can't find details of versions recently anyway. I enjoyed these books very much, and I got all 7 from a secondhand bookstore at the same time. So I thought it was just special that I could find all 7 books at once. I'm glad I read them because I enjoyed them all very much. And they are books that I would go back and read again. Trilogy is called The Lore Masters of Alundium. Here's the first book, The Road to Underfall. Book 2 is The Palace of Kings. And Book 3 is Shadowlight. And in my opinion, the world that Mike Jeffries created and the characters are all very special. It has a really special feel to it. And I just loved the way that this book was constructed, or the whole trilogy was constructed and written. The next 4 books in this world start with Knights of Cawdor. Then we have Citadel of Shadows. Book 3 of the last 4 books in this world, Threads of Magic. And the last book set in this world is here. It's called The Siege of Candlebane Hall. I enjoyed all 7 books in this world very much. If you can, have a hunt for books by Mike Jeffries. Look for the books in this series especially. They may be at your library, they may be at a secondhand bookstore, maybe someone selling them online secondhand. If you can get a hold of them, give them a go, because I recommend this series very much. There you have some of the books that I think are treasures on my bookshelves. Other people may have different opinion, but I think each of those books is special for different reasons. Maybe it's just the hardcover, maybe it's a first edition, maybe it's just the cover art, or maybe it's hard to find books that are not published now and out of print. And if you get a hold of those books and read books you enjoy that are out of print, sometimes they just feel so special. On my channel, I do reviews on many books in many different genres. Check my channel out and subscribe. I'm sure you'll find something you like.